Yes, so we are talking about the migrants that are being bused to DC, New York, Chicago. Maybe next time it's gonna be somewhere in Michigan. So this is Attorney Claudine Gasana. For those who don't know me, I'm an immigration attorney. I'm here to kind of give you an overview of what is the process of expedited removal. So the expedited removal is actually process that has been put in place by the law, the Immigration and Nationality Act 235A or B, little b. So everyone and it concerns arriving aliens or arriving non-citizens. You know, we don't like to say aliens anymore. It's kind of offensive, but so it's arriving aliens. So who is an arriving non-citizen? So the arriving non-citizen is anyone who present themselves, anyone who is not a US citizen, lawful permanent resident, or anybody who has given asylum or refugee status, who present themselves at the US border or in the US port of entry. So the law give the authority to the US Customs and Border Protection officers to kind of operate some type of expedited removal to people, to these categories of individuals. So if someone arrives at the US border, at the port of entry without proper document, with no passport or with no visa, and or try to enter the US with fraud or misrepresentation, the law actually gives the authority to the US CBP officers to expedite, to deport that individual without access, without a right to, to have a hearing before a judge or any other process. That could be done within an hour. Somebody could present themselves, and I'm sure you have people who came to the US, maybe they had a visa or they didn't have a visa, just come at the border. They say, okay, I'm here. I want to come in the US. You have to provide document. Okay, do you have a visa? Are you allowed to come to the US? Are you a citizen? Are you a lawful permanent resident? Are you an asylee? Are you a refugee? So if you don't have any of those categories, then the authority of the CBP officer is to send you back, expedite, remove you, go back, right? So those are the two categories. Those are clear. However, when this, so that's what's in the law, the I-9 235 DOB, that's what it says. So however, the way this law has been implemented or expanded has also included people who arrive in the US without inspection, and who are in the US for less than 2 years. Those are also called arriving aliens. So that means if for any reason you are here in the US and you happen to drive, you have no driver's license, and an officer, actually it's the law here, it's called, here in Texas we have a law, is a SB4, I think, I believe. I gave a presentation on that, which means a state officer, like a police officer, if they apprehend you and for maybe driving or other traffic violation, they can also check if you have legal status. So that has been challenged, but it's still a fact. They can do that. If they see, okay, well, so do you have driver's license? No, you don't have a driver's license. Okay, so you have a passport? No, you don't have it. And then for some reason they find you are not here legally. And if you have been here in less than 2 years, then ICE, which is Immigration Customs Enforcement, can take you in custody and you'll be subject to removal. So that's another expedited removal. Some other categories, it's people who arrive at the border, which is maybe this group of people we see, people who arrive at the border, nothing, they just come, or most of them, they're apprehended actually. So they could have escaped and then entered the US, because most people don't come and go at the border, say, I'm applying for asylum. They try to come to just enter somehow. Now, if they are apprehended within 100 miles of the US border. And they have been present in the US for less than 14 days. Those people are apprehended and they are subject to expedited removal. So most people you are seeing, migrants, are being at the border, being bused, transported to other states, fall under the last categories I just mentioned. Either they come at the US border and they say, okay, I'm here, I just want to come in because I can stay in my country, or they try to come in illegally without inspection, and they are apprehended within 100 miles of the US border. So they are subject to removal. So now what happens after that? Because everyone is in that category, and not everyone who attempts to come in, who attempts to enter the US, either like presenting themselves before an officer or trying to enter without inspection, not everyone is being allowed in, right? That's why we discussed, I think if you follow my videos, I discussed about the Title 42. So the Title 42 is still in effect, even if the Biden administration has tried to discontinue the program. There was a lawsuit by Louisiana, and I think the legal process is still pending. But in the meantime, the federal judge ordered the Biden administration to continue Title 42. Title 42, as you remember, you can go back and check my other videos, and in my opinion, is a discriminatory system that was put in place to discriminate against certain nationals, because it says if you come from these countries because of health issues or health reasons, the Title 42, the Department of Health has the authority to limit people from entering the US if they will be, they will be bringing in some type of diseases, and so that's, you see there. That's why you don't see maybe people from Haiti, people from Africa, and people from other countries in the group you see in these groups that are being bused to other states. So now those people who are subject to Title 42, where they say, okay, yeah, if you come in and apply for asylum, they will send you back to Mexico or Canada, and they're gonna wait there for your process, right? That's what it is. Anyways, so now let's get to the expedited removal. So once people come in, it's just like, okay, I'm not subject to Title 42, and then I'm here, I don't have a visa, I'm here, I'm seeking entry, or I tried to sneak in, and I was caught by the CBP officers. Then what happens next? Not all of them, they are being let in. So let's make that clear. So like I said, once you're in that category, you are subject to expedited removal. You have no right to a hearing before a judge, except there are exceptions to those rules. Now, if you are apprehended or you present yourself at the US border and you say you are seeking asylum because you have a fear of being persecuted, then the officer cannot send you back, right? So that's where there is a credible fear determination. So the CBP officer calls in, so CBP is a one agency, and then there's a USCIS. USCIS is another agency which has authority, or has to interview you. So they have to find an office, a USCIS officer, and they will determine, okay, what are you seeking for asylum, or why do you think you are, why, so, and then they conduct what's called a credible fear interview, or a credible fear determination interview. So when you pass that credible fear determination interview, most of these you see these people you see here at the border went through that process. They went through the credible fear interview determination. Or I also talk another possibility in a second, but that's the rule. Credible fear determination, meaning like there's, you know, they may have a claim for asylum. Therefore, you are allowed in, they are not paroled. Some of them are not paroled. No, they are given what's called a notice to appear, a charging document, and they are supposed to appear before a judge. Now, there's a new process to kind of streamline the process where instead of appearing before a judge, they will have to appear before a USCIS, a US Immigration and Citizenship Services Agency, to proceed or to, you know, plead their asylum case. So that's where these people are. So, and they are given some paperwork. So now the issue now we are seeing, so they are put in a process. Some of them, they don't even give them, and they don't give you a copy of your credible fear interview determination, by the way. You know, that's, I tell you from experience, because when we get clients, say one of those people calls my office, we have to either file some type of application to get the record, or if you are lucky, you can reach out to ICE, and then ICE can give you a copy. So they don't have that, so they don't know where it is. So which means and then on that credible fear determination interview, you give them your address. Where are you going to go? So, you know, most of them, before they can let you in, is because you have maybe a family member, a friend, say, okay, I have a friend or a family, they live, and then you give the address. And which means that address, that's where the next steps, they will send you a notice to appear in front of the judge, or if it's a notice to appear before your interview with USCIS, they will send it to your address you provided. Now, then once that is done, that's when, okay, the governor says, okay, no, you're not staying in Texas, you are not staying in Arizona, we're gonna bus you to DC, we're gonna send you to New York, we're gonna send you to Chicago, we're gonna send you to Massachusetts. So it's a mess. So if within that time, because, you know, the federal government does not necessarily communicate with the state, they may schedule you for an interview, they may schedule you for a hearing, and you are still being in transit to go to DC, and DC is trying to figure out where to put you, or New York is trying to figure out where to put you. So, and it's also being reported that these people don't even have, there's this device they are being given, usually it's kind of check-in, because they have to also check in, some of them, or you to change your address. So changing the address, you know, I think there was an attorney who was speaking about it. So if you you have your case has been set for a hearing, or has been docketed with the immigration judge, the way you change address is different from the way you were to change address if you were just gonna be with USCIS. So they are not given instructions on how to change address if your case is before an immigration judge. They're only given a change of address with USCIS. So, and even that, they're not given instruction, because even if you change address with USCIS, you usually, once you are out, you know, they give you, you are paroled in, or they give you permission to stay here temporarily, you're also supposed to check in with ICE. So there are 3 different agencies you have to deal with, or you may have to deal with. ICE, which is Immigration and Customs Enforcement, USCIS, US Immigration and Citizenship Services, or EOIR, which is the executive branch, like the DOA, the immigration judge, right? So immigration review, which is the immigration court. So, and those 3 agencies have different instructions on how to update your address, to change your address, right? And sometimes ICE tells you cannot change address until you tell us, and then we give you permission to go, right? But they are not given that opportunity because they are being shipped to another state, right? So and also not all of them, they have a credible fear determination, right? Yet. So, and that's even more dangerous. So those who come with children and, children or unaccompanied minors, they cannot be deported. So unaccompanied minors or family, they are also being paroled in, right? So they're being paroled in, which means they haven't been processed even for the credible fear determination process. So that, and as you can see, most of those people who are coming, they are families. So after the whole, caging kids scandal, tragedy, really, now the government is being careful. They are not expediting the removal of minors or family unit. So, which means some of those families may not have been even processed for the credible fear. And then they are just being given some type of parole. I actually had a copy here. Somebody contacted me, the document they are giving them. I can even read them to you. I was reviewing it. It's just a call-in letter, right? So they give them a call-in letter, which means you don't have a credible fear determination yet. They just let them in. Okay, come in, give us your address, and they give you a call-in letter, and they tell you when to check in. So, and they tell you to check in. So let's say somebody has a August 26th. They tell them to check in on September 13. So some of those families, they have this letter, call-in letter. It's September 13 right now. They tell them you have to check in the address in Texas, where they were processed in Texas. You have to check in in 2 weeks, September 15. That means in September 30th, you have to check in Texas. But you can't, because on September 16th, they bust you in Massachusetts. That means you are in Massachusetts, you don't even know where you are. Let's say the truth. When those people are coming here, they don't know, okay, this is Texas, this is New York, this is the South, this is the East, this is West. They are just in America, they're in the US. They are like confused. And you add to the confusion. So you have to check in. They have a call-in letter to check in Texas, but they are now shipped in Massachusetts or Chicago or New York. So how are they going to check in 2 weeks in Texas? And you know what happens when we don't check in? Then it says, let me read to you. If you do not, you'll be placed in removal proceedings. Try to read it. It says you are being paroled in the United States, and you are required to attend your immigration court hearings and ICE appointments to ensure that your immigration case moves forward. Failure to report may lead to being taken into custody or placed on additional forms of supervision. So basically, it's sabotaging these poor people, individuals, vulnerable individuals. They have to report. They have to report to ICE. They give them an address where to report. Now they are being shipped in another state, which is like miles and miles away. So I don't know if they're gonna give them another bus to come back to Texas or another plane ride to come back to Texas. Most likely no, right? So that means if they are not lucky to, and good news is there are nonprofit organizations that are trying to help, but I don't know if they are equipped with immigration lawyers there who will be able to kind of know, okay, what is your next day? What did they tell you? Because some of them, they say, okay, you have to come back. They don't even give them the paperwork, right? So they may miss their dates, their appointment calling, or their court hearings. their credible fear interview appointments, and they will now be on there will be a warrant. That's what happens once you are ordered in removal. The ICE puts a warrant for your arrest, and who knows what's going to happen. So it's going to create more mess. So that's, I mean, I don't know. Some people, I mean, I wanted to really talk about this because where people you would see on TV, where these people are being here, okay, they are being sent to another state. That's okay. No, that's not okay. Actually, it's not going to help. If you want a streamlined process, it is going to complicate more the process, right? Because if these people were asked to go to make an appointment in the state, in Texas city somewhere with ICE or a court, they're already set up for a court hearing, and now they have to change venue, they have to change address, or they miss the appointments at all, and now ICE has to look for them. So like really, no one is winning, and especially these vulnerable people, they are losing, and it's unfortunate. So that's what I want to talk to you today. I don't know if there's anybody who have any question, or let me check if anybody has a question. Other than that, that's really what I wanted to talk about. It's, to kind of give an explanation. Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, so now you know. Okay. All right, so thank you so much for joining in. So now you know a little bit about expedited removal with an example of these migrants that are being tossed around like states, but they will be facing serious issues, and the issues or the process is going to be more complicated. There's no solution that's going to come from taking migrants from one state to another, by the way, because they can get there and come back to Texas. There's no border between states anyways. It's just like, I don't think there's anything good about this whole thing. I mean, one would argue that the funds that are being used to ship them, to transport them, may be used maybe to find some type of solution, but that's their decision. What I'm saying is, as an immigration attorney, and who knows the process, the expedited removal process, and the strict process they have to go through, and the requirements they are given before they are being let out, because some people actually they are detained. Like usually, if you are not a family, like you say you are just not a family unit, you will be detained, and then you ask for parole. So, but like I said, these people, because they come as a family unit, and some of them are children, they cannot detain them and they cannot remove them. So they have to let them in and ask them to kind of process their case while they're out. But they still have requirements, instructions that have to abide by. If they don't, then they will be removed. They will be ordered removed, or there will be something, yes, the more delays for their cases. So yeah, so thank you. Have a good weekend. So I mean, if you like this video, or if you know anybody who's wondering what's happening, what are those people coming from, and what's waiting for them, feel free to share, subscribe, and comment. And thank you. Okay, let's see.